What's the story of this tournament for you so far outside of these Final Four teams? Is it Marquise Noel? Is it Purdue?
I think
Is it
I think it's
Alabama choking? Alabama had it on a platter, and they, like the bracket broke wide open for Bama, and they shit down their leg.
Do you know that Nate
Um,
Oates and Greg Gard have been the same amount of Sweet 16s, and one of them is referred to as the best coach in the country? That's just a fun fact I learned. And also, Nate Oates has never beaten higher than an 8 seed since his first game tournament win when he beat DeAndre Ayton, who didn't even want to be there in Arizona. Just some fun facts. I think it's two-part. I think it's the first weekend was Fairleigh Dickinson, and the second weekend was Marquise Noel. And
I think you're right. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. I think that's probably why when people are talking about this tournament being down, it's those stories haven't continued. Like if Marquise Noel finishes the job and gets to the Final Four, I think this is all looked at a little bit differently. So and UConn too, the way they've beaten teams, they haven't been in a classic tournament game. So I don't think people, you know what I mean? Like how many people probably turned off the Gonzaga UConn game on Saturday night?
That's right.
But that's
right.
But they do have those same guys. They have, Joey California and Sonogo, and they have these guys that are great stories. We just haven't, the games have been over with, 16 minutes to go in the second half. So people haven't been paying attention as much.
Yeah. Gonzaga UCLA was awesome, but that's
it was.
I'm trying to think of what else would even if you're doing a time capsule, if you're writing the Wikipedia article on this tournament, what's all making it in there?
I think it's Princeton, Furman, Fairleigh Dickinson, the
Kihei Clark pass.
Yeah,
Kihei
Clark pass. That feels like 10 years ago.
It really does.
Yeah, and then I think I think maybe that's what needs to happen for people to in retrospect be oh, that has a mark, a mark on that tournament, because it's the first round or the first weekend was all these upsets that were crazy. Second week was Marquise Noel, and then if UConn can finish the deal, it's the tournament of UConn. That's the kind of the bow on the car. That's the cherry on top, where it's oh yeah, that was UConn's tournament. They beat 6 teams by double digits every single one.
So if UConn wins this, let's do what every UConn fan is doing right now and jump way ahead, and let's just pretend that UConn's already won it, because that seems to be how everyone.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
If UConn wins this is their 5th title in 24 years. Say 24
99 to 23
tournament. 20, yeah. So 24 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane, obviously, but also it completely comes out of nowhere. The UConn has always been the anomaly whenever anyone wants to do the blue blood discussion, because are you weighing historical greatness? Are you weighing recency bias? You said that they've been the best program the last 25 years. I laughed at that because they if they're good, they win the national title, but they're usually not good. That's my memory of UConn basketball the last 25 years, especially since 2014. They haven't been good.
Yeah,
they haven't been good in the last decade. But yet they're good now, and now they're going to win a national title. Is there a parallel to this? The Patriots sucked ass forever, and then they just started ripping off Super Bowls. But pro sports are a little different. I don't know. It'd be like if Oregon football came on the scene and then they started winning national titles, but they never actually won any. The Oregon football is more like Gonzaga basketball to me than UConn.
Yeah, maybe if Clemson wins a couple more titles, because that was, Clemson was kind of always there, because UConn did have players before they won their first national title.
That's true.
They
That's
had,
true.
And UConn does have a very long history of good pros. I mean, Ray Allen was before the national title, and so they had
he was 3 years though. I mean, there wasn't
still, they played,
the UConn teams of the 70s weren't good.
Of course, but the Leitner shot, or one of the Leitner moments was against UConn. Not the Leitner shot, that was Kentucky, but they had another one. I'm trying to think what. Yeah, didn't Kentucky beat UConn? Now I'm getting everything confused. They
made the 90 Elite Eight. They made the Elite Eight in 1990. Yeah.
There was a big, let's see, Duke UConn shot. I think it was an Elite Eight. Yeah, Christian Laettner hit a buzzer beater against UConn in 90. So yeah, they had something going. I also think Maybe what we got to do is just like when UConn goes for their blue blood card, if they win this title, like just show them a best of Jim Calhoun press conferences. Like that guy ruled. He fucking ruled. He was the best. Not a dime back. Like all of his lines were so goddamn cool, and he just didn't give a fuck whatsoever. Get some facts. Come back and see me. We looked at Ryan Gomes. He was 275 pounds in high school. We took Emeka Okafor and Karan Butler. They're not bad. Like
they're not bad.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think to get the blue blood, maybe Danny Hurley has to win a couple, and then you have like the history where it's like, okay, there's one legendary coach and then the newcomer. But now that I'm thinking about it, they're just Duke 20 years later. Duke was nothing before Coach K. Right?
That's true.
Like they didn't.
Yeah.
Duke wasn't winning titles in the fucking 70s and 60s and 50s. So you just go up in the timeline. UConn is just new age Duke, but they're cooler. Let's admit that they're cooler.
I think Dan Hurley being the coach helps too because the Hurley feels like
they're basketball royalty.
He's so perfect for UConn.
Yeah,
he's so perfect for what that program is and what that program. Like the fans fucking like I'm trying to think of coaches the programs that love their coach at this point in college basketball. The fan base approval rating of their coach, Dan Hurley's got to be. If he's not at the top, I mean Muss is probably up there too.
Muss is up there, but and like Dan Hurley comes from the best high school basketball coach of all time, his dad, but he still did it on his own. He coached in high school. He then went to Wagner. He then went to URI. Then he went to UConn. Like he's climbed the ladder, and he wasn't a pro or anything like that. So I don't know. He does feel like a relic of the past in terms of like some of these coaches where you don't have like Juwan Howard goes to Michigan, gets his first job, like where you're just picking the guys who had good pro careers and throwing them into coaching spots. Dan Hurley was a grinder, and he's grinding his way to the top. And he did tell us a great story about how when he came to UConn, he was like, the program was in a mess. They had sucked for a while, and he was like having regret and being like, oh, I should have stayed at URI. And he went into Jim Calhoun's office and was like, this is a mess. Like, what the hell? Like, this is going to be so hard. And I think Dan Hurley probably cleaned it up for us, the story, but essentially Jim Calhoun was like, stop acting like a fucking baby. This is UConn. Go and fucking win. And like, he was like, yeah. And he basically like told me that. And I was like, yeah, stop acting like a baby. This is UConn.
Dave gave me the same speech after my first day in the gambling cave.
This is Barstool Sports.
I was like, Dave, I can't do this. I don't have fucking winners for you. And he said, stop acting like a baby.
Go find
Give me some
winner.
Goddamn winners.
Yeah. Go find a winner. But I think UConn is definitely, if Villanova gets talked about in the blue blood, all they're missing is like that one. If UConn had a title in 1988, people would say they're a blue blood.
Yeah, but I think it is these tournament runs though. Like this. Listen, I don't care. I'm just trying to like see it from all sides. That like I think UConn winning in the way they did in 2014, which they beat the best team in the country that year in the Final Four. They beat Florida in the Final Four. They shut down that Florida team, which is that 2014 Florida team is one of the all-time great college basketball teams that literally everybody has forgotten about.
Yep.
Nobody remember. Even Florida fans are like, were we good in 2014?
Yeah.
Like, is that, I don't know. But that team was so freaking good. And UConn beat them in the Final Four. They go on to win the national championship. But there's this sense that at the last couple titles that UConn has won, it's like less about their dominance and it's more about like a crazy bracket busting wide open, and then UConn just shows up and scoops it. Like someone fumbles a national title trophy and UConn just scoops it up and runs it into the end zone. And that's what I fear is like this tournament, even though these teams are good, you're going to look back on this. I mean, people aren't even looking back on it. They're saying it now that like San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, and Miami, of course UConn's here. Of course UConn's going to add another banner when it's, the wackiest tournament we've ever seen. And I think that works against them. So it's like, yeah, you have 5, but people want to put asterisk on those banners.
So I think what we've landed on is UConn just has to go out and beat both the winner of FAU and SDU by 20 and beat Miami by 20 on Saturday night, because then it's unassailable.
Like, then it's unassailable.
If they go and rip off 6 games where they win by double digits in every game, there's nothing you can say about what this UConn team has done.
Right. Right. But if they beat San Diego State 47-44
Right. Yeah, that's true.
in the title game.
It's also just crazy how this college basketball season works, because if UConn if they had won 2 of those games, they lost in a buzzer beater when Dan Hurley had COVID. Like if they win, they lost 4 out of 5 in January. If they win 2 of those games, now you're talking about a team that like probably would have gotten a 2-1 seed, like, because they were that team to start the season. Everyone's like, watch out for UConn. They're better than everyone.